This video will add in the pickups for the player. So this is going to have a couple of components to it. We're going to have a very rudimentary AI that we're going to add. And we're going to create objects for the cherry and the gem. And we're also going to create this little, well, it's called feedback from the asset. We're going to call it like a disappear or something like that. Let's go ahead and add in a new scene. This one is going to be an area node. So we haven't used these before, so this is new. What an area node does is it detects when something enters it, like a physics body or another area. So we've got a player that we can check, is it entering this here? And if it is entering that, then we can do something with it, collect it. If it's an enemy, we'll just make it ignore it. So we need to have a shape for this, so a collision shape, and we'll make that a circle shape. So we'll zoom in on this here. And we'll also add in an animated sprite 2D. Now for this one, we're not going to use the animation player because it's just having one animation that's defaulting. We're not changing between the two. Oh, actually, no, we won't for this, but we will for the feedback loop. So let's go ahead and create a new animation resource. Drag it down the bottom here. We'll just leave it at default. Drag that cherry, and actually I'll delete that. Made a mistake. Delete that, not just the animation, yes. Okay, we'll add new animation. We'll just call it cherry. And we're going to add in the cherry. So we need to go find pickups, cherry. And there is 5 horizontal and 1 vertical. It's nice when they lay them out like this. There are some websites that no doubt your students, if you're watching this as a teacher, will find, such as Sprite Reps or Sprite as resource. They're nearly impossible to get the actual sprites from. The people that make them lay them out in the most bizarro way. You would never get it nice and even. The odds of getting it from that site are minimal. itch.io, kenny.nl, any of those sites are pretty good. The other alternative is that they draw them themselves. That's very time consuming. I don't recommend it. So here we go. We've got our cherry here. And I'm just going to make that collision shape a bit smaller, switch it around so I can actually see it. And we'll move the sprite. Let's see what the sprite looks like. Just kind of just a little swinging cherry. And we can change this. Ooh, there was an option to make it play forward and backward. So I know that we can do that. And we can actually do it using the animation tree. So sorry, animation player. So let's add that in. Animation player, let's import those. And then over here, this button, we're going to change it to back and forth. And then we'll just play that, and then it goes back and forth. Okay, and this is going to be the autoplay animation. We're going to tick this box. So it's going to autoplay when we start. We don't need to write anything about this. We don't need to do anything with it, and that's all good. So what we're going to do here, though, is add a script to this. The script is going to be, we'll rename this first, cherry, and we'll save it into scenes. We'll call it cherry, and we'll add a script. Now, why is that doing that? No default. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just wondering why it's not giving it a name here. Oh, I don't want it to be built in. Sorry, I don't want it to be built in. Create cherry. All right, so let's go ahead and have a look at what this is going to do. These functions actually, we don't even need them. The cherry's just going to sit there. What we do need is a function called collected. Just write pass in there for now. And then we're going to use what's known as a signal. So if we click on this cherry and go to node and go to signals, we've got all these signals here. Now you can code your own signals, and we'll probably get up to that shortly. But for now, the signal that we want is when a body enters that body. So what we need to do here is check. We need to check what's actually entering this. Now, in some of my very early videos, I did this really poorly by actually checking the file name. I wasn't as familiar with Godot. This was about 5 years ago. But there are much better ways to do that than checking the file name of the object that we're doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if body.isInView. group player. So if the player is the body that's entered this, then we're going to run the function collected. And then we will queue free. Now, queue free is a weird way of saying just remove this from the node tree. So the node tree is this bit over here. And since the cherry will be in the world, it'll be a child of the world. It's going to remove it from that tree. It's going to just delete the node essentially. And then the garbage collector will come and pick it up and it's gone. So if the group is in player, we're going to run the collected function and we're going to get rid of this. So when the collected function runs, we are going to spawn in another little display. First, we need to do something with the player. We need to add it to the group. So we need to add this to the group called player. So over here, node, there's signals and groups. I don't think you can move it out of there, and make sure you write it the same way that you wrote it in the code. So if you wrote it with a capital P here, make sure you give the player capital P player. So we can put a cherry in the world now. We'll just make sure we save all of these. We go to the world and we put our cherry scene in the world. Let's go 2D and we'll drag it in. We'll just pop it here. And we hit play. There's our cherry and we can go and we can collect it. Done. So let's go ahead and make it so that it plays a little animation when it deletes. So we need to make that animation. So again, this one is just going to be an animated sprite. No, it's not. We're going to just make a 2D scene. We're going to call it bench. And then we'll add an animated sprite. This one, inspector, animation, new sprite frames. And down the bottom here, we only need default, but we're going to import this one here. So there's 4 frames there, but there's only 1 vertical. Horizontal 1, 2, 3. It looks like there's 5, and there's just 1 that's like nothing on it. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And don't really need that one, but I'm going to keep it in for a reason. At some point, we want to delete this object. We don't want to have a whole lot of these playing. So we're going to unloop it. It's not going to loop. And we could probably change that up to about 10 FPS, not 510, that's really fast. 10 FPS. And I'm going to add in the animation player. Now, note that you can do everything that I'm doing here without the animation player. It's just the animation player allows you to keyframe not just the animations, but also functions. So I'm going to go import. And I am going to add in here. So this is the track. It's to the end, it stops, it's all good. What I'm going to add is a track, a call method track on vanish. And then when it gets to the end of this animation, we're going to call a method here. Insert key. And we could call any method belonging to this, like queue free. So it's going to play the animation and then it's going to call the method on itself and remove it from the scene. So once we see once it's in the scene, it does its thing and then it's gone. So that's going to be really cool. So let's go ahead and make this scene, save it. We go to the cherry and we need to do this in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say var vanish equals, and we're going to preload this scene here. It's going to be res colon, so resource, and we have got it in our scenes folder. Oops. And it's the vanish one. Now, if you're ever not sure, you don't want to type everything in, you can just come over here, copy path, then paste that in as well. Then we're going to say var, we want to say new vanish object or something like that equals vanish.instantiate. So this will be familiar to any Unity people. Although I don't even remember, the last time I used Unity was about 8 years ago. So it may have changed since then. Then we're going to add this to the tree. Get tree dot add child. We need to get tree dot. We need to get the current scene. Dot add child. And what we're going to add is a new vanish object. And then lastly, new vanish object dot position or global position equals global position. So this global position refers to the global position of the cherry. That's the object that has this script attached to it. And this global position refers to the global position property of our new vanish object that we just made. This is a stupid name. I'm not sure what I could have called it, but that's it. That works. Okay, so now when we run it, I go here. I go to the cherry. Nothing happened. Why not? Let's see. Why did nothing happen? Finished, instantiate, current scene dot add child, global position equals global position. That all looks really good. Why did that not work? Well, that's interesting. It may be something to do with this. Let's go ahead and have a look. So if we play this, yeah, okay. Current animation, nothing. Oh, we need to autoplay that animation on the animation player. Okay, so now it should work, hopefully. We'll test that scene. There we go, and then it's gone. Okay, so we got a nice little effect when we picked it up, and it's gone. Now I did say we were going to make a very, very simple UI. We will change this later, but let's go ahead and make that now. Canvas layer. I'm going to add this in. I might organize this, by the way. You'll notice that I've added some background details here. So over here, this tree, a few other things, and I put them all into this single node. So I'm going to do this for the collectibles. I'm going to make a node 2D. Move it to there. I'll call it collectibles. And I'll put them in there. That can help us organize stuff as well. Okay. It also means I can turn them on and all off. I can change the position of them all at once. There's a whole lot of stuff I can do with that. So I'll just hide that. The canvas layer, I'm going to just add a label to that. And this label, I'm going to position it inside the camera. Actually, it shouldn't even matter. Let's just test something. Score. And let's hit that. Oh yeah, it's up in the top left corner. So that's good. So it's going to fill the canvas. I'll move it down a little bit. The UI is very powerful, but we're just going to keep it really simple now. And we're going to make a new script here. But we're not going to attach it to any object. So I need to just do that down here. I'm going to make it in scenes. A create new script. I'm going to call this a game manager. And it's there. I'll open it up. And at the top here, project settings, I'm going to make this what's known as a singleton. And it's essentially a class with only one instance that can be accessed from anywhere. Basically a global. You could just call it globals if you want, but it can also have functions in it as well. So I'm going to get rid of those. And we're just going to have simple one thing here, var score. And we'll have a function func add to. No, we won't. We'll just say var score equals 0. And then on the collectibles, when we pick the cherry up, we're going to say, when we've collected it, game manager dot score plus equals 1. Now, again, this is very simple. We will change this later on and actually add some methods in there to increase the score. update a few things, but we're going to write a very basic script right here, attach it to this label for now, that just in the process, and it would be better to do this with signals, but in the process we're going to say text equals game manager dot score, and because that's an integer we will need to convert it to a string. We'll say score plus, like that. So now if I run this, it should say score 0 on the top. Yeah, to get the cherry, score 1. There we go. So very simple UI. We will fix that up later in a video about the UI, but I think that's enough for now. And in the next video, we will look at some traps, some obstacles for the player.